So what is up, guys? Suda the Savage back, and today we're here with NFL Week, Dan Marino, T.Y. Hilton, Keenan Allen, and can't guard Michael Thomas. It is Week 13 predictions. It is December, so 'tis the season. Got the hat and the sweater. Going to be rocking this in most of the videos I'm going to be releasing coming up. Anyways, last week was another horrible week for me. Looking to rebound. Got 14 matches to get to. You're looking to watch certain matchup timestamps are in the description box below. Panthers, Packers, Browns, and Titans are on their bye this week. So without further ado, let's get this video started. So we are starting off with our Thursday night football matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and my boys in the New Orleans Saints. Starting off with the Cowboys, last week, tough loss to the Las Vegas Raiders, lost 36-33 on Thanksgiving. Dak Prescott threw for 375 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I got to give a lot of credit to the offense because the defense was just taking penalty after penalty, and so was the offense. A whole lot of holds. The reffing in that game was just atrocious. Tony Pollard ran for 36 yards. Zeke, 25 and a touchdown, but Tony Pollard did have a 100-yard kick return, so that's good to see. Lead receiver was Michael Gallup, 5 receptions, 106 yards. You guys are going to be getting Amari Cooper back this week. Cedric Wilson, 7 receptions, 104 yards. And then Dalton Schultz, 3 receptions, 46 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty much it. The defense, didn't really do too well against the Las Vegas Raiders. Especially Anthony Brown. Dude took 4 pass interference penalties, and that just completely cost him. And then the Saints, we also played on Thanksgiving, and we got our butt smacked by the Buffalo Bills. Trevor Siemian, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. We're pulling the plug. It's Taysom time. So as long as I don't see him taking a ridiculous amount of deep shots, I could see a chance, but we won't have Alvin Kamara or Ryan Ramczyk and Terron Armstead, so I'm a little concerned. Tony Jones Jr. ran for 27 yards because Ingram was out. He'll be back this game. Lead receiver, Little Jordan Humphrey, 3 receptions, 47 yards. Tre'Quan Smith, 4 receptions, 31 yards. And Ty Montgomery, 5 receptions, 31 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense was pretty solid in the first half against the Buffalo Bills, but then just fell apart to their offense. But I can't, fault the Saints too much for that because our offense did them no favors. So Cowboys, 6.5-point favorites to win this one. But don't forget, 2019, Week 4, Sunday Night Football, Cowboys were favored because we didn't have Drew Brees, and we won 12-10 in the upset. So give me the Saints. Always going to go with them. We get the upset. And now you have our very first Sunday matchup between the Arizona Cardinals and the Chicago Bears. Starting with the Cardinals, you were on your bye last week, but you did pull off the 23-13 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. Once again, no Kyler Murray, but him and D-Hop should be back this week, so that's going to be huge. Colt McCoy threw for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. James Conner, 62 yards and a touchdown. Good day for him. Lead receiver was Zach Ertz, 8 receptions, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just needed a new scenery just to get out of Philly, and he's explosive like I wanted him to be. AJ Green, 4 receptions, 78 yards, and then finish it off. Randall Moore, 11 receptions, 51 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense shut down a sputtering Seahawks offense. Russell Wilson I think he came back a little too early. I think he rushed the process, although I can't fully blame him considering that the Seahawks needed to make a big push, and Geno Smith I don't think would have been able to do that. But Russ hasn't done much better, so tough to say. And then the Chicago Bears, you beat the Lions on Thanksgiving, but it's the freaking Lions. Andy Dalton, 317 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Dave Montgomery's the lead rush with 46 yards. Then lead receiver was Darnell Mooney, 5 receptions, 123 yards, followed by Cole Kmet, 8 receptions, 65 yards. Only receiving touchdown went to Jimmy Graham. Other than that, all I can say, though, is that you're lucky that the defense, they did shut down the Detroit Lions, but, Dan Campbell, his play calling was atrocious. So I'm not impressed that you pulled out the victory. Cardinals 7.5-point favorites to win this one. They're getting Kyler and D-Hop back. Even if they didn't have him, Cardinals win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles and New York Jets. Starting out the Eagles, what the hell was that last week? You eliminated me from my survivor pool, so screw you guys. Anyway, starting off, Jalen Hurts, got nothing going on in the air game. Threw for 129 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 crucial picks. The rush game was still strong, had a little bit of trouble in the first half, but then turned the wheels up in the second. Jalen Hurts, 77 rushing yards. Boston Scott, 64 yards on a touchdown, always victimizing the New York Giants, even though he did have a fumble near the end of the game. Miles Sanders ran for 64 yards. Lead receiver was Keith Gainwell, 3 receptions, 32 yards, and then Jalen Reagor, 2 receptions, 31 yards. He dropped the 2 possible game-winning touchdowns. Game on the line, they go to Reagor, drops those passes. Just atrocious. How the hell did this guy go over Justin Jefferson again? I don't know, because Howie Roseman's an idiot. Then on to the New York Jets. You pulled off an upset against the Houston Texans, so that's pretty impressive. Zach Wilson threw for 145 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. He wasn't really the main guy. Lead rusher was Tevin Coleman with 67 yards, Taron Johnson with 42, and Walter was the only guy who had a rushing touchdown. Lead receiver was Braxton Berrios, 2 receptions, 47 yards. Elijah Moore, 4 receptions, 46 yards. Then Keelan Cole, 2 receptions, 24 yards. That was pretty much it. But the defense just completely shut down the Houston Texans. This game was just a slot fest from the left and to the right. But in the end, the Jets were the team that sucked less. Eagles 7-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans, a classic AFC South rivalry. Starting off with the Colts, a tough 38-31 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I will say, I will give you credit for sticking it out. A lot of people were kind of skeptical after your win streak against really crappy teams, but you took down the Bills and you went toe-to-toe with the Bucs and came up just short. Carson Wentz threw for 306 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 2 picks. He did also lose a fumble, so that's going to hurt them. Jonathan Taylor, I know they didn't rush him as much because the Buccaneers do a lot better against the rush than most other teams, but he did crack 83 yards and a touchdown, so a good day for him. Lead receiver was Jack Doyle, 6 receptions, 81 yards and a touchdown, followed by Dolan with 62 yards and a touchdown. Then Michael Pittman Jr., 4 receptions, 53 yards, finish it off. T.Y. Hilton, 4 receptions, 28 yards and a touchdown. The defense was just scored apart. It was just torn apart by the Buccaneers. Both teams made mistakes, but the Colts made more mistakes on offense. They had 5 total turnovers, so that's really what's going to hurt them. And then the Texans, how did you lose to the Jets? Like, honestly, Tyrod Taylor threw for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. David Johnson ran for 39 yards. Tyrod Taylor only could crack 30. Burkhead only had 27. Lead receiver was Brandon Cooks, 3 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Collins, 2 receptions, 28 yards. And then Rex Burkhead, 3 receptions, 27 yards. The only other person to have a receiving touchdown was Jordan. That was pretty much it. The defense, kept it close against the New York Jets, but honestly, both teams were terrible, but one team was less terrible, and that was the Jets in that case. The Texans were just even worse. Colts are 10-point favorites to win this one, so give me the Colts that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the LA Chargers and Cincinnati Bengals. What this match is going to be, of course, Burrow and Herbert, 2 future faces of the league. Starting off with the LA Chargers, what the hell was that last week? You lost 28-13 to the Denver Broncos, and that was just such a sloppy game. Justin Herbert threw for 303 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. The rush game was inexistent. Herbert led with 36 rushing yards, and Austin Eckler had 31 rushing yards. Lead receiver Keenan Allen, 7 receptions, 85 yards, followed by Austin Eckler, 6 receptions, 68 yards, and a touchdown. So at least he made up for it in the air. Then Mike Williams, 4 receptions, 39 yards, and then Jared Cook, 2 receptions, 25 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense had a lot of trouble, against the rush game. It wasn't, both offenses were really bad, but Patrick Surtain was the main game changer and why the Broncos won with his 2 picks, including the pick 6 at the end. So yeah. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, wow. I expected you to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but not like that. 41-10. Joe Burrow, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Joe Mixon just took over, ran for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver this time was not Jamar Chase. It was actually T. Higgins, 6 receptions, 114 yards and a touchdown. But then it was Jamar Chase, 3 receptions, 39 yards. So a good day for him. Good day for the offense, but it was really all in the defense. Big Ben was atrocious. Just completely shut down that guy, proving that he should not be in the league anymore. But anyways, credits where credits due. Excellent victory. Bengals are 3-point favorites to win this one. Chargers are a really inconsistent team, and considering they kicked Pittsburgh's ass a couple weeks ago, then got their ass kicked last week, now they're going to do the ass kicking. Give me the Chargers in an upset. And now you have our very next match between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Classic NFC South rivalry. Starting off the Buccaneers last week against the Colts, a huge 38-31 victory. Tom Brady threw for 226 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was okay, but it was really all in Leonard Fournette. 17 carries, 100 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Ronald Jones, he followed up with 37 yards and a touchdown. Honestly, there were really only 2 receivers that made noise. Rob Gronkowski, 7 receptions, 123 yards, and Leonard Fournette just had 7 catches, 31 yards, and a touchdown. So 4 total touchdowns. Clearly the go-to fantasy that week. And that was pretty much it. The defense, they definitely did struggle against the Colts offense, but they did force 5 turnovers. So that definitely makes up for the amount of yards they gave up. So good job, guys. Even though I hate you. And then the Falcons, going up against the Jaguars, you won 21-14. Matt Ryan was 190 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Lead rusher was Cordarrelle Patterson, 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver was Russell Gage, 6 receptions, 62 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Cordarrelle Patterson, 2 receptions, 27 yards. Finished it off, Kyle Pitts, 2 receptions, 26 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense was able to shut down the Jacksonville Jaguars, held them to 14 points, and there's really not much else I could say. I mean, you beat the Jags. Not that much of an accomplishment. Buccaneers are 11-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the New York Giants and Miami Dolphins. Starting off with the Giants, 13-7 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles last week in one of the worst games played of the season, arguably. Daniel Jones was okay, threw for 202 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Saquon Barkley was your lead rush with 40 yards, and then Daniel Jones with 30, so the rushing game was really nothing. Barkley has really been nothing in the past couple of years. In terms of receiving, your big $72 million man did something. Kenny Golladay, 3 receptions, 50 yards, and then Darius Slayton, 3 receptions, 40 yards, and then Evan Ingram, 3 receptions, 37 yards. The only person to have a receiving touchdown was Mayock. The defense was able to hold Philly. Yeah, they struggled against the rush game, but not many teams can stop Philly on the ground. I mean, you held them for the first half, but then you let them get back in with the rush. But honestly, both these teams sucked, but just the Giants sucked less. And then the Dolphins, once again, how come we didn't see this kind of performance out of you earlier in the season? 33-10 victory over the Carolina Panthers. Tua Tagovailoa has been playing some pretty solid football. Threw for 230 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Myles Gaskins, your lead rush with 49 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver Jalen Waddle. That Waddle-Tagovailoa connection has been banging recently. 9 receptions, 137 yards and a touchdown, followed by Devine Smith, 5 receptions, 32 yards, and then Mike Gesicki, 3 receptions, 17 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just shut down the Carolina Panthers. Just completely took Cam Newton out of the game, limited the rush attack, and yeah, they struggled against DJ Moore, but no problems there. Dolphins are 4-point favorites to win this one, and considering Daniel Jones is not going to be playing, this is going to be a Mike Glennon-led team, so yeah, Dolphins win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, a classic NFC North rivalry. Starting off with the Vikings, man, I had hope for you guys last week, but you let me down. Lost 34-26 to the San Francisco 49ers. Kirk Cousins threw for 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He was okay, except he did have one play where he lined up behind the right guard as opposed to the center. He tried to be an O-lineman, so Dalvin Cook had 39 rushing yards, but he did get carted off the field. He is going to be missing a couple of weeks, so Alex Mattison, he's going to have to carry that load. Had 21 yards and a touchdown. But I think Mattison is a very good number 2 back, and I think he can do a good job filling in for Dalvin Cook. Not going to be like Dalvin, not going to be as good as Dalvin Cook, but going to be good enough. Lead receiver Justin Jefferson, 4 receptions, 83 yards, followed by Dalvin Cook, 6 receptions, 64 yards, and then finish that off, Adam Thielen, 5 receptions, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Man is just a red zone beast. The defense, I can't really give you much credit. You got destroyed by Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel on the ground, so that's a tough pill to swallow. And then the Detroit Lions, that was an atrocity that you guys played on Thanksgiving. Jared Goff, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Like, the completion percentage sounds good, but he was literally just throwing checkdowns the whole game. And he did have like a 12 or a 13 straight completions, but once again, most of those were checkdowns with maybe 1 deep shot. Lead rush was Jamal Williams with 65 yards. DeAndre Swift was just inexistent on the ground game. Lead receiver was Josh Reynolds, 3 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown, followed by TJ Hawkinson, 3 receptions, 35 yards, and a touchdown. And then Amon St. Brown, 4 receptions, 23 yards, and no touchdowns. That was pretty much it. The defense, held the Bears, but it is an Andy Dalton-led Bears. Like, they did get exposed by Darnell Mooney, but there's really nothing else I could say. That was just a slop fest. A classic Detroit Thanksgiving game. Vikings are 7-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first 4 o'clock matchup between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the LA Rams, the revenge match of Jalen Ramsey. Now, it's not going to be played in Jacksonville, so it's not going to be as good, but still. Starting off with the Jaguars, just a bad loss to the Atlanta Falcons. Trevor Lawrence, 228 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. James Robinson was your lead rush with 86 yards, followed by Trevor Lawrence with 39. Laquan Treadwell, lead receiver, 4 receptions, 53 yards. Marvin Jones, 4 receptions, 43 yards. And then finish that off, Laviska Shenault Jr., 5 receptions, 33 yards. The only one with a receiving touchdown was Tavon Austin. The defense, didn't do so well. I mean, they did okay, but they just got exposed by Cordell Patterson. Not too much shame there because a lot of teams have been getting fried by him. And then the LA Rams, god damn, this has been a bad 3-game losing streak. You were part of No-Win November, which was shared with the Seattle Seahawks, Detroit Lions, and also the New Orleans Saints. That last one hurts a lot. But anyways, Matt Stafford threw for 302 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick, which was a pick 6. He has thrown 3 pick 6s in his last 3 games. For reference, Aaron Rodgers has only thrown 3 career pick 6s. That's just a stat I've been seeing everywhere. Darrell Henderson was your lead rusher with 55 yards. The receiving game was pretty spread out. There were mainly 3 big receivers. Cooper Kupp, 7 receptions, 96 yards. Van Jefferson, 3 receptions, 93 yards and a touchdown. And then Odell Beckham Jr., 5 receptions, 81 yards and a touchdown. And then Henderson, he had a receiving touchdown. So that was pretty much it. The defense got fried by Aaron Rodgers. And that's pretty much all I could say. And of course, Aaron Rodgers on the rushing touchdown sent Jalen Ramsey like a helicopter. Anyways, but the Rams are 13-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. A lot of these games I've seen them play this year where they're heavy favorites, they'll win, but don't cover the spread. So that's what I'm going to say here. And now you have our very next matchup between the Washington football team and the Las Vegas Raiders. Had this been 2018 or early 2019, this would have been the Gruden matchup. Jay Gruden versus John Gruden. Well, both are not. Well, neither of them are head coaches of these teams anymore. Starting off with the football team, stunning 17-15 victory over the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Taylor Heineke threw for 223 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, which got picked up by Jamal Adams. So if you're getting picked up by Jamal Adams, that's a problem. But lead rusher was Antonio Gibson. He's finally finding his form, 111 yards, but then J.D. McKissick had 30 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Scary Terry, 4 receptions, 51 yards, followed by DeAndre Carter with 4 receptions, 42 yards, and then Gibson with 35, and the only other person to have a receiving touchdown was J.D. McKissick. The defense just silenced the Seattle Seahawks. Just silenced them. Sure, the Seahawks could have tied the game, but they failed the 2-point conversion. Your defense clutched up there, so a lot of credit out to you. And then the Raiders, Thanksgiving, you guys got lucky. Like, honestly, it was just penalties galore. Derek Carr threw for 373 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. A pretty good day for him. Josh Jacobs ran for 87 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Hunter Renfrow, 8 receptions, 134 yards, followed by Deshaun Jackson, 3 receptions, 102 yards and a touchdown. Then Zay Jones, 5 receptions, 59 yards. That was pretty much it. Darren Waller did get injured and will be missing some time. So can Foster Moreau kind of step in for him? Probably not. The defense did struggle against the Cowboys, especially the pass game, and did give up a 100-yard kick return on special teams. So that's definitely tough. Our Raiders are 2.5-point favorites to win this one. But you know what? I like what I've seen from the football team recently. They've rattled off some pretty good wins. Give me the football team. And now you have our very next matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, classic AFC North rivalry. Who doesn't love Ravens Steelers? This is just always going to be one hell of a match. Starting off with the Ravens, that was just an awful game you played against the Cleveland Browns. Lamar Jackson threw for 165 yards, 1 touchdown, but 4 picks. He also led rushing with 68 yards, followed by Devontae Freeman with 52. Lead receiver was Mark Andrews, 4 receptions, 65 yards and a touchdown, followed by Hollywood Brown, 8 receptions, 51 yards. Finished that off Rashard Bateman, 4 receptions, 31 yards. That was pretty much it. But the defense did a good job at holding down the Cleveland Browns, even though they both, honestly, like Eagles and Giants and Bears and Lions, those teams sucked, but it just came down to who sucked less, and that was the Ravens in this case. And then the Steelers, shit. That was maybe one of the worst performances I've seen out of you in recent memory outside of the wildcard game against the Browns. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 263 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. Just looked awful against the Cincinnati Bengals in a 41-10 loss. I think it might be time to hang up the cleats at the end of the season. He's just not what he once was. He's the problem here. Najee Harris ran for 23 yards. You couldn't get a ground game going. Lead receiver was Deontay Johnson, 9 receptions, 95 yards, followed by Chase Claypool, 3 receptions, 82 yards, then Pat Freiermuth, 4 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. The defense got scored by T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. Shame. Just a terrible game all throughout. Ravens are 4.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup, a rematch of the 2013 NFC Championship game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Always a classic NFC West rivalry. And of course, the Richard Sherman's Crabtree interview is just what will live on from the 2013 NFC Championship game. That's the result you go get. Don't you ever talk about me. Anyway, starting out with the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 230 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Just had to be a game manager, and it all worked out. There are rumors that the 49ers are going to move on from him and have Trey Lance come in. So I think that's a smart move. Have Trey Lance sit behind him for a season and then just come into the scene next year. But the rush game was strong. Elijah Mitchell, 133 yards and a touchdown, and Deebo Samuel, 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver was Brandon Ayuk. He's finally starting to break out. 3 receptions, 91 yards. Kyle Juszczyk, 2 receptions, 37 yards. And then Elijah Mitchell, 5 receptions, 35 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just, they stopped the rush game of the Minnesota Vikings. Made a couple of key 4th down stops. So a lot of credit out to the 49ers for rattling off some wins. And then the Seahawks, it's panic time. I think Pete Carroll needs to go. Russell Wilson, if you want to trade him, you got to trade him soon while he still has some value left, because a team might just fleece him. Just pay pennies on the dollar for him. But Russell Wilson threw for 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. It wasn't a great game for him. I think he was rushing coming back from his injury. He also led rushing with 16 yards, followed by Alex Collins with 14. They just abandoned the rush game for the pass game. Lead receiver Tyler Lockett, 3 receptions, 96 yards, followed by Gerald Everett, 5 receptions, 37 yards, and a touchdown. And then Fred Swain, 1 reception, 32 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense was able to hold down the Washington football team as long as possible, but the football team was able to scrape out a couple more points. But yeah, like I was saying, you're also screwed because you don't have a first-round pick this year. That belongs to the New York Jets from the Jamal Adams trade. So you got no O-line, no D-line, a horrible secondary. It sucks to say, but it might the end of Seattle's era is coming. Anyways, 49ers are 3.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our Sunday Night Football matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. Classic AFC West rivalry. Starting off with the Broncos. A big win over the LA Chargers, 28-13. Teddy Bridgewater threw for 129 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Drew Lock even came in at the end, threw 26 yards and a pick. Anyways, lead rusher was Melvin Gordon with 83 yards, but Jamal Williams and Teddy Bridgewater did the scoring as Williams had 54 yards and a touchdown, and then Bridgewater had 10 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was also Javonte Williams, 3 receptions, 57 yards, followed by Tim Patrick, 2 receptions, 26 yards. Jerry Jeudy, 2 receptions, 25 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just did an excellent job against the LA Chargers. Patrick Surtain had 2 crucial picks, one of them going for a pick 6, which basically just iced the game. So, if you can continue this form for the rest of the season with a above-average offense led by the rushing game and a lockdown defense, I could see you making the playoffs. Will you go far? Probably not, but who knows? And then the Chiefs, you're on your bye last week, but you beat the Cowboys 19-9. Patrick Mahomes threw for 260 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. The pick was not his fault, though. Receiver should have caught the ball. Lead rusher was Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 63 yards and a touchdown, and got a horrible taunting penalty just for pointing at a guy as he runs the end zone. The NFL taunting policy is awful. I don't know why they're trying to ramp it up, but thanks to Antoine Winfield Jr. for ruining it, and also Tyreek Hill, because he started that whole beef between the two. Lead receiver was Tyreek Hill, 9 receptions, 77 yards, followed by Travis Kelce, 5 receptions, 74 yards, and then Byron Pringle, 1 reception, 37 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense was able to shut down the Dallas Cowboys, even though they were missing Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. But still, credit to where credit's due, pulling out a big victory. Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our Monday Night Football matchup, a classic AFC East rivalry between the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. Starting off with the Patriots, this team is actually legit. Sure, they had a rough start to the season, but they've just been rattling off wins recently in convincing fashion. Mac Jones threw for 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a 36-13 victory over the Tennessee Titans. Lead rusher was Stevenson with 46 yards, then Damian Harris with 40 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Jacoby Myers, 5 receptions, 98 yards, and then Kendrick Bourne, 5 receptions, 61 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then finish that off, Brandon Bolden, 4 receptions, 54 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just absolutely shut down the Tennessee Titans. Now, sure, there was no Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, or Julio Jones, but once again, the Patriots have just been so good in this recent stretch. Everyone's saying the Patriots are back. I believe that they're back. They lead the AFC East right now. It's like Tom Brady never left. And then the Buffalo Bills, you beat the Saints on Thanksgiving, but what I saw in that game was a tale of two halves, which showed how you've played this season. The first half kind of showed the struggling Bills, limited on offense, making a lot of mistakes. Josh Allen threw for 260 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 picks. Both those came in the first half. Then lead rusher was Devin Singletary, 44 yards, and then Josh Allen, 43 yards. Like I said, the first half of the Bills was kind of like their struggling form. But then the second half of the Thanksgiving game kind of showed what the Bills can really be, just an offensive machine. Stephon Diggs was the lead receiver, 7 receptions, 74 yards and a touchdown, followed by Greg Davis, 2 receptions, 47 yards. And then Cole Beasley, 5 receptions, 46 yards. Dawson Knox, he did have 2 receiving touchdowns in the game, so good day for him. The defense just locked down the Saints. Yeah, but here's who we were missing. Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Adam Trautman, Michael Thomas. Oh my God, we were just injured to hell and back there, so it was not a fun Thanksgiving game for me. But, who's going to win this game? Bills are 2.5-point favorites. Now, it all depends. Are they going to play like their struggling selves, or are they going to play like the team that we all thought that they would be this year? I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. I just like the Patriots a little bit more right now. Sorry, Bills fans. And that is going to wrap up my video for today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you want to see last week's prediction videos, a link to that will be in the description below. If you want to see my Saints and Bills recap, click right over here. Like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already by clicking over here or down below. Comment down below what you have for this week. Who's your upset of the week, lock of the week? Do you like that I got the fit back in the sweater and the hat? Because that's going to be back for most of the December videos. Make sure to follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, @BrennanSuter. Thank y'all for watching. Have a great day. Who Dat Nation with the Jays merch is out. And I missed that horribly.